Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Ian J. Dalumpinas Garampiel, and welcome to Financial Management. And for this evening's discussion, we are going to discuss financial planning. So, when we talk about financial plan, this is a document detailing a person's financial circumstances, monetary goals, and strategies to achieve them. So, for a brief introduction, we are going to discuss financial planning, focusing on the role of projected financial statements, and it explains how these statements assist managers in evaluating the potential impacts of their decisions on a business's financial performance and position, as well as the preparation, process, and associated challenges. So, the key aspects covered in this discussion includes risk management, which address forecast risk and help managers anticipate future outcomes, and gearing awareness, which discuss on financial and operating gears and their effects on business risks and returns. So what are the learning outcomes? So after the discussion, we are going to explain how the business plans are developed and the role that projected financial statements play in this process. Prepare projected financial statements for a business and interpret their significance for decision-making purposes, and to describe the manner in which projected financial statements may take account of risk and uncertainty. And number four, explain the effect of financial and operating gearing on the risk and returns associated with a business. So it is important that if we do a lot of things in our life, including businesses, we need to plan for the future. So this reference talks about first is the key steps in developing the business. So we need to set aims and objectives. We need to identify the options available. And we need to select the option and develop long-term plans according to the options available. And after that, we are going to develop short-term plans. So what are the roles of the projected financial statements? So first, the main financial statements used for planning purposes are, first, we are going to discuss this one later on, a projected cash flow statement, a projected income statement, and a projected statement of financial position, which includes the balance sheet. Okay? So, when preparing projected financial statements, we need to consider two variables, external and internal variables. So these includes, no, the external variables includes the rate of taxation, the interest rates for borrowings, and the rates of inflation. So we know already what does inflation or how does inflation work. So these three variables are known as external variables because they usually relate to government policies and to economic conditions. The second one are the internal variables. So when we talk about internal variables, we talk about the policies and agreements to which the business is committed. So what are the examples? First, capital expenditure commitments. Second, financing agreements. Third, inventories holding policies. Fourth, credit period allowed to customers. Number five, payment policies for trade payables. 6. Accounting policies, and 7. Dividend policy. So when you talk about sales forecast, we are trying to influence the future performance and positions that we need to identify. So we can begin to forecast the items which includes in the projected financial statements. We have to make a start somewhere, and the usual starting point is the forecast sales. So when we talk about forecast sales, this is usually seen in our Excel. If you are going to open the Excel, there is an application or a program inside our Excel that is one click away for us to see the sales forecast. So when we talk about sales forecast, we are going to it is divided into two approaches. The first one is the qualitative approach, which produce a forecast based on a subjective judgment. So it relies on one or more of the following sources. First, yung sales force polling. The second is the manager's opinions. Third, the consumer surveys, opinions of a panel experts. That is in contrast to a quantitative approach naman where we undertake a numerical analysis of past sales in order to discern future trends. So we are talking about numbers here. So techniques that may be employed include first, the trend analysis, exponential smoothing, regression analysis, economic models, neutral networks, and etc. So projected cash flow statements, ito naman are the we need to identify the sources of cash flow. So there are four that has been identified in our reference. First of which is to issue and redemption of long-term funds, purchase and sale of non-current assets, operating activities, tax, and dividends. So as you can see here in our reference, it has been summarized into four, the cash flow statement. So this is a very intriguing part of our reference where it has been it was noted that can you think why cash is so important to business? So I included this one because this is very important for us, especially in financial management. No? In order to survive, a business must have sufficient cash resources to meet its maturing obligations. Ultimately, all businesses that fail do so because they do not have cash to pay for the goods and services needed to continue operations. Just like in hospital setup, we have a hospital where I am affiliated where they give uh the workers, the healthcare workers, their salary after the duty. So it's very important that the patient must pay the hospital on time and there is an income for that specific day because there is a cash that needs to be given out to the workers. So that's why it's very important that the cash is so important. So kahit gaano pa kalaki yung pera sa yung mga assets mo na hindi pa siya naging cash but wala pa hindi mo pa rin magalaw yung pera. So that's very important where you cannot use the cash anymore yet. Okay? So as you can see here, in preparing a projected cash flow statement, we need to ask, no? We should ask two questions when examining a particular item or financial information. The first question is, does it involve a cash inflow or cash outflow? If the answer is no, then it should be ignored when preparing the statement. So there are various items of information relating to a financial period such as depreciation charges and bad debts that do not involve cash movements. But if the answer is yes naman, we must ask the second question. When did a cash inflow or outflow take place? So when there is a monthly breakdown of cash flows, it is important to identify the particular month. So as you can see here in the slide, we have here a breakdown of 6 months. That's January to June. So it is important to identify the particular month in which the cash movement occurred. So later on, we can see here, now as an example, that we can see here a brief outline of the cash flow statement. So if you are going to read this one in the book, it is well explained. It's uh, explained naman na maayos na if you are going to read that one, ma-understand naman siya. Okay, ang importante lang dito na alam natin is that there is a cash inflow, there is a cash outflow, and there is a net cash flow. And this is important, the opening balance and the closing balance. The opening balance is the one kung ano yung pera na nag-startan mo and ano yung pera na nasa huli. Then yung gagamitin mo naman for the opening balance on the next month would be the closing balance of the previous month. Okay? So you just have to tally, you just have to know what are the cash inflows, cash outflows. You just do subtraction, addition, then you need to know already the opening and the closing balance. Okay? So can you see any problems with adapting this approach to preparing cash flow projections? Yung sabi dito, a major problem with this approach is the need for constant forecasting. That is why kailangan nakatali siya, kailangan nakatake note siya, kailangan aware yung magti-take note ng system. Okay? Which may incur encourage a rather mechanical attitude to the whole process. Okay? So projected statement of financial position. Now we are going to talk about the balance sheet. Okay? Ito yung in my experience for this topic na dinidiscuss ko ngayon, this is the one that I know because the balance sheet is important in also in our inventories. So I had a little bit of experience, no? Very complicated one, but I hope that I could explain further with this topic. Okay? So when we talk about a balance sheet, no, these are a projected statement of financial position. So, or balance sheet, which reveals the end of period balances for assets, liabilities, and equity. So, sabi dito, it is the last statement to be prepared as the other two statements produce information needed for this statement. Okay? And the projected cash flow statement provides the end of period cash balance for inclusion under current assets, and the projected income statement naman provides the projected profit or the loss for the period for inclusion under the equity section of the statement of financial position. So this statement also provides the depreciation charge for the period which is used to adjust a non-current asset. Okay? So as you can see here, this is an activity part of our book, and this one is the completed statement. So if we are going to analyze this statement, we are going to find our assets, the equity and liabilities, and initially, we are going to have the total equity and liabilities. Okay? So one intriguing part of the topic also that is very common but not familiar, no, is the percent of sales method. So this is an alternative approach to preparing a projected income statement. So end statement of financial position is the percent of sales method. This is a simpler approach to forecasting. Okay, and also this expresses most items as a percentage of the forecasted sales revenue for the period. And take note also that the past records are examined on this method, not to determine how much items vary with sales. So income statement, the following income statement items are normally expressed as a percentage of sales, yung expenses, and the profit before the tax. So remember, we need to know the profit muna before the tax, okay? Which is the difference between the sales revenues and also the expenses. So if you're going to make that one in a mathematical formula, no, that's sales revenues minus expenses. That's the profit before the tax. Okay? The next one would be the statement of financial position. So the following items in the statement of financial position are expressed as a percentage of the sales. Okay? So ano yung included dito? The current assets that increase spontaneously with sales, the current liabilities that increase spontaneously with sales, and the cash. Okay? However, yung sa book natin, may na-mention dyan na however, and etc. etc. So we need to read that one. At least we have an idea. But one of which was non-current assets will be expressed as a percentage of sales only if they are already operating at full capacity. Otherwise, they will not usually change. Okay, medyo complicated lang pakinggan, but if we are going to read it again, no, parang mapapasok din naman. Okay? Next would be evaluating the percent of sales method. So there is an advantages and disadvantages of the percent of sales method. So what are the advantages? First would be manageability. No, pinapadali ng percent of sales method because it simplifies the task of preparing financial projections. So just a disclaimer, no, as much as possible, I try to put some examples for us to easily understand the topic kasi for me, personally, it was very alien since I don't have this background in management or financial related um, subjects during my pre-med and medical course. So I tried my very best to give some examples based on my personal experience. So Currently, I don't have a lot of experience regarding this matter, so just bear with me. Okay? So, simplifies the task of preparing financial projections, making it less cumbersome. For example, a large retail chain can use this method to quickly estimate future financing needs without creating detailed cash flow statements. Yun yung advantage ng percent of sales method. The second one naman, efficiency. No? It reduces the time and cost associated with forecasting each item in the income statement and statement of financial position. So a manufacturing company can avoid the tedious process of forecasting kasi ang hirap nga ng forecasting because you need to lay out, you need to put in effort in order for you to do know the individual expenses, the income, the cash flow, no, in revenues by using past sales data. Okay? Kung may advantage, we have also disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages? No, reliance on historical relationships. Meaning lang nito is that we are going to know the past relationship between sales and other financial items. So for example, if a tech company launches a new product line, past sales relationships may not accurately predict future financial performance, no? Baka naman yung bagong product line nila is better and mas pasok doon sa madlang people. So napaka-importante ng even though ganun ka-importante ang percent of sales method, hindi naman siya ganun ka-reliable. Baka naman, no, iiba yung financial performance in the future. The second one is fixed expenses overlook. So it does not account for expenses that remain constant regardless of sales levels. So ang ibig sabihin nito, for example, when a company with high fixed costs like rent and salaries may find this method misleading as these costs do not change with sales volume. Okay? So now we are going to move on to the next part of the topic, the long-term cash flow projections. So yung long-term cash flow projections naman, no, this involves simplifying assumptions. Okay? This involves simplifying assumptions due to the increasing difficulty of detailed analysis over extended periods. The second naman, no, is the process typically begins with estimating annual sales revenue and calculating operating profit as a percentage of these sales. The third one, adjustments are made for cash flow items. So for example, yung receivables, yung payables, yung inventories, and the non-cash items such as the depreciation to derive annual operating cash flows. And simplified assumptions may be used for working capital, treating it as a fixed percentage of sales revenue. Okay? So, ano yung mga key points? No, ano yung mga key points and the summary of the long-term cash flow projections? So, we need to identify the sales revenue. No? For example, a company projects annual sales revenue based on the market trends and past performance. Next is calculating the operating profit. So, if the historical data shows an operating profit of 10%, this percentage is applied to the projected sales revenue for each year. Kasi nga, yun yung yun yung base sa records. Okay? And adjusting for timing differences. So, sales made on credit at the end of the year are included in that year's income statement, but the cash is received in the following year. Okay? So, ano pa? Non-cash items. Depreciation is added back to operating profit since it doesn't involve actual cash movement. Okay? Second one, simplified working capital assumptions. Instead of detailed calculations, assume that the working capital is 20% of sales revenue. So yung if projected sales increase mo from 1 million to 1.2 million, working capital increases accordingly. Adjusting for receivables and payables. So we adjust for opening and closing trade receivables and payables to account for cash flow timing differences and also the net cash flows where after calculating operating cash flows, you subtract the taxes, the interest payments, and the dividends to determine net cash flows from operations. Okay? Another interesting part of our book in the activity 2.11, Can you think of 3 examples of fixed expenses that a business may incur? So ano yon? Yung salary na pinapasweldo mo sa tao, the rent payable if nagre-renta ka, yung insurance ng kumpanya mo, and ang depreciation ng mga equipments na ginagamit no. Okay? So yung sabi ng libro natin, you may have thought of others. So I hope no parang at least matitrigger yung utak natin if ano pa yung mga fixed expenses that a business may incur. However, no, where sales are increasing, the percent of sales method will increase fixed expenses also in line with the increase in sales. So the effect will be to overstate expenses and to understate profits for the period. Sabi dito sa libro, where sales are decreasing, the opposite will be true. So the higher the level of fixed expenses incurred by the business, the greater will be the resulting overstatement or understatement when the level of sales changes. So the above suggests that the percent of sales method is best suited to a business with at least one or two possible characteristics. So ano to? It is probably best to a business where there is the sales remain stable over time and the expenses are not fixed but vary directly with sales. Okay? The second characteristic mentioned, however, would be a very rare occurrence. For most businesses, fixed expenses account for a greater part of total expenses incurred. The next part would be the projected financial statements and decision making. So, bakit importante ito siya or nasama to siya sa financial planning? Because projected financial statements provide insights into the future performance and financial positions. Hindi kasi importante, no? Hindi lang importante yung past na performance. Hindi lang importante yung ngayon na performance. We also need to look out for the future performance of the company or the business. Kasi if alam natin na malulugi na, if we know that the company is already in bankruptcy, or we are having a foresight of the company have going bankruptcy, at least we can know or we can tell the board for it. Okay, so that we can have a solution that we will have idea on how to troubleshoot the problem. Okay? But they must be critically examined before being used for decision making. Ito ay gabay lamang. Okay? The forecast figures may not always be accurate, no? These are just numbers. They cannot predict, no? Malay ba natin na ngayon hindi maganda yung benta mo, but eventually pagka next month hindi mo na expect that your income or your clients will be times 100 to your present performance on a I don't know what happened na scenario, okay? So it's crucial to assess their reliability by questioning the development process and assumptions. And managers should use their judgment and consider various aspects of the projections to make informed decisions. That is why part of our financial planning chapter is decision making. Kasi lahat ng napag-aralan natin kanina doon sa previous topic, no, yung cash inflow, cash outflow, we are going to use that one for the managers us no in the future to know or to use that in our judgment, okay, in our decision making. So what are no key points of this topic? No, critical examination of projections. So for example, yung company mo, it projects a 10% increase in sales next year. The managers should verify the basis for this assumption, such as market trends and sales strategies. No, this one I use this one in predicting the stocks that I had. No, I usually do the trends. We usually search for the trends. We usually read books basing on the trends. So we need to verify. We need to verify the basis kasi hindi naman haka-haka lang, hindi naman joke-joke or hindi naman sugal. No, at least man lang you have a scientific tawag nito or scientific evidence, no? Para at least hindi naman siya haka-haka lang. Okay? Hindi lang, feel ko parang tataas. Feel ko parang ganito. At least, feel ko tataas kasi nabasa ko ganito, ganyan. Okay? Next would be underlying assumptions. If the projections assume stable economic conditions, managers should consider the impact of potential economic downturns and the completeness of projections. So, anong example? Ensure that all relevant expenses, such as marketing costs for a new product launch, are included in the projections. And judgment in decision making. So, the managers review projected financial statements and notice cash flows are insufficient. So, they decide to delay non-essential capital expenditures to improve liquidity. Okay? And the questions to aid the judgment. Are the cash flows satisfactory? No? Is additional financing needed? Baka kailangan pa? Or can surplus funds be profitably reinvested? Or is the projected profit satisfactory relative to the risk? So if not, um, explore cost-cutting measures or new revenue streams to improve profitability. Okay? So, is the financial position at the period's end acceptable? And is the borrowing level acceptable? So, taking account of risk. So, ito naman, we need to take account of the risk. So, as a summary, when making financial projections, there's a risk that actual outcomes may differ from estimates. Kaya yung sinasabi natin kanina, no, that if we are trying to project something or we are trying to assume something, we know na if tataya ka man, you know the risk that the actual outcomes, even though projected siya, may differ from the estimates. Okay? And this risk can be managed using various methods. So, with sensitivity analysis that will be discussed later on is being one of the most popular. So, we are going to discuss later on sensitivity analysis. And when we talk about sensitivity analysis, this involves examining how changes in key variables affect the projected financial statements. Okay? And also, this helps managers understand the potential impact of forecast inaccuracies. What are the key methods? No, the first one, as discussed kanina, is the sensitivity analysis. So what is sensitivity analysis? Evaluates the impact of changes in a single variable on the business's projected performance and position. So ano yung mga example na questions na papasok sa sensitivity analysis? What if sales volume is 5% higher than expected? So if ang retail company mo projects, sorry, that's a is mistype na, a typo. That should be 1 million pesos in sales, but examines the impact if sales reach 1.05 million. That's 5% higher. So, paano naman if the sales volume is 10% lower than expected? Then you get a 10%, you subtract the 10% from your 1 million. So, magiging 900,000 na lang. Okay? So, what if the sales price is reduced by 15%? So, eventually, you are going to reduce the price from 100 to 85 pesos. Or, what if the sales price could be increased by 20%? So, you increase the 100 to 120 pesos. Okay? So, what are the benefits of sensitivity analysis? So, I categorize it into three. No? You understand sensitivity because it tries to provide insight into how sensitive the business financial outcomes are to change in key variables. The second is informed decision making. It helps managers prepare for different scenarios by understanding potential impacts on financial performance. And as an example, a tech company uses sensitivity analysis to evaluate how changes in component cost affect its profit margins, preparing strategies to mitigate the risk. Okay? So, ano yung mga limitations naman ng sensitivity analysis? It only has a single variable focus. So, it only examines one variable at a time. Yun lang yung limitation niya, which may not capture the full complexity of potential changes. Hindi niya makikita if mag-change or hindi. No probability assignment. It does not assign probabilities to different scenarios, limiting the ability to quantify the risk. And real-world application. Now, for example, A large manufacturing firm uses sensitivity analysis to evaluate the impact of raw material price fluctuations on its cost structure and overall profitability. I think this one, for example, if may gasoline station ka, you should know how the price fluctuates time to time, that yung capital mo would hindi ka malulugi doon sa capital na kinuha mo. So now let's talk about a more comprehensive one. Part of the chapter are the gearings. Okay? So I hope that we are still okay at this point, because as I can see in my timer, it's already 29 minutes since I started this lecture. So I hope that you are still with me. I hope that as much as hindi naman nakukuha lahat, pero at least we have a learning after this one. Okay? So when we talk about financial gearing, it is the relationship or the ratio of companies' debt to equity. Okay? Or the D or E. No? So this is also known as financial leverage. No? It occurs when a business is partially financed through borrowing or other fixed rate funds. This one I know because most of the time when I do business, hindi siya lahat cash. No, hindi siya lahat galing sa akin. Most of the time, it is usually from a loan. And that loan, yun yung pinapaikot natin. Like, pinapaikot natin for us to get some income and yung magbabayad sa interest. Okay? So higher financial gearing means a greater proportion of borrowing compared to shareholder equity. So it amplifies changes in operating profit and on returns to shareholders. And while borrowing increases the risk due to obligations like interest payments, businesses often borrow because the potential returns can outweigh this risk. Okay? So what are the key points? Ano yung definition? Use of borrowed funds to finance a business, as mentioned earlier. For example, yung kumpanya nangutang ng 1,000,000 in equity, no? Nangutang ng 1,000,000 at meron ding 1,000,000 na equity. So that company has 1:1 financial gearing ratio. So if a company's operating profit increases, the return on the equity can increase significantly due to leverage. And ano yung mga impact on return? So it accentuates changes. So borrowing can magnify the impact of changes in operating profit on shareholders' returns, similar to the effect of intermeshing cogwheels. So for example, if a company's operating profit increases by 10%, the return on equity might increase by 15% due to the leverage effect of borrowing. Okay? So ano naman yung increased risk? No? Yung obligation. Because borrowing involves obligation to pay interest. Swerte na lang siguro if may yung magpapautang sa'yo, kaibigan mo na walang interest. But these times, no, when there is always a price to everything, everything has an interest. So kahit nangutang ka lang ng 1,000, babalikan mo yung pinag-utang mo ng kape na 200. So, no, ang laki na ng interest nun. So, ano pa nga kung mangungutang ka ng 1,000,000? No? So, borrowing involves obligations to pay interest and repay principal, which can strain cash flows and increase financial risk. That's why some of the businesses usually fail because hindi na-estimate na kayang bang bayaran yung interest tagabuan ng income ko. Kasi yung iba, iniisip lang, okay, ganito yung magiging utang ko, kayang-kayang ko siya bayaran. But eventually, hindi naisip na may interest pa. Okay? So, reasons for borrowing, filling the financial gap. Okay? The finance gap. Shareholders may not be able to provide all necessary funds, so borrowing is used to meet financial needs. Increased returns. Borrowing is attractive if the returns generated exceed the cost of interest. No? Okay lang if kapag yung inutang mo, for example, 1,000,000, and the interest rate, well, let's say is 1%, so that's 10,000 per month, but you are having an income of 100,000 a month, no? Okay na okay, no? Bayad na bayad, no? Or more. So, for example, a startup needs 2 million to expand but can only raise a million from shareholders. So, nangutang siya ng remaining 1 million, betting that the expansion will generate higher profits than the interest cost. Okay? The risk lang talaga siya. So, we are going to know now the indifference chart. So, at this point, parang medyo I still on the complicated. Parang naka-complicated ako dun sa topic na nito. But I will try my very best in order for us to learn about indifference chart. Okay? Kapag sinabing indifference chart, this is a graphical representation. Anong graphical representation? To compare the earnings per share or the EPS that we know under different financing options at various levels of operating profit. So this chart naman, helps visualize the break-even point known as the indifference point. Okay, where the different financing options yield the same EPS. And take note, this also illustrates how EPS changes with fluctuations in operating profit for each financial option. So this one, no, this one I summarized the part of our book. So as you can see here, no, this one, if we are going to do or we are going to apply the 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 earlier part into this one, we are going to have a formula. Okay? So in the indifference point is the level of operating profit at which two different financing options yield the same earnings per share. And while an indifference chart offers a visual representation of this concept across a range of profits, calculating the indifference point through a mathematical approach provides a precise value at which the EPS from different financing option equalizes. Okay? So how do calculate the indifference point? More than one way to produce a particular product. At a certain production volume, one way to produce is better than the others. And it makes the decision making for managers easy to determine at which level of production it would be better to change the production method. Okay? So it would be the cost indifference point, the differential fixed cost over the differential variable cost per unit. Okay? So ano yung mga benefits naman ng indifference chart? It shows how EPS varies with changes in operating profit, and it provides a straightforward visual method, and especially by non-financial managers. Okay, so this one, the degree of financial gearing, this can be seen in our book. Now, it only emphasizes the formula. So if we talk about degree of financial gearing, that's operating profit over the operating profit minus the interest payable. So we will get the degree of financial gearing, as you can see here. That's 50 pounds. 50 million pounds over 50 million minus 30 million is 2.5. Okay, that's the degree of financial gearing. So how do we interpret? So higher ratio indicates greater sensitivity of EPS to changes in operating profit. So that means yung kakaunting changes in operating profit can lead to significant changes in EPS. So with a gearing ratio of 2.5, a decrease in operating profit by £1 million would significantly reduce the EPS more than if the gearing ratio were lower. The second one naman, implications for decision making, importante din siya because this ratio helps in assessing the risk level associated with different financing options. So higher financial gearing brings higher risk and potentially higher returns. So usually the companies can use this ratio to decide on capital structure and strategy. So it determines the balance between debt and equity. Operating gearing naman, no, or operating leverage refers to the extent to which a company's costs are fixed versus variable in relation to changes in its volume of activity. So if we are going to imagine that one, that would be in this on the right side of the screen, the percent change in operating income versus the percent change in sales. Okay? So, ano yung mga key points and examples natin dito? If we are talking about fixed nature of cost, it can be divided into two, no? yung fixed cost and the variable cost. The first one, with the fixed cost, this usually remain constant regardless of the level of production or sales activity. Yung bayad mo sa utang, yung papasweldo mo, yung insurance premium, yung rent mo, and yung administrative cost. Yung variable naman, yan yung importante na best example dyan yung utility expense kasi hindi naman pare-pareho yung bayad mo sa kuryente over time, no? Yung baggage mo or your packaging mo or your labor wages mo. So what are the implications? Kapag high operating gearing, this indicates a high proportion of fixed cost. Okay? So the revenue increases lead to more substantial increase in operating income due to the relatively stable nature of fixed cost. And pag sinabi naman nating low operating gearing, this indicates a higher proportion of variable cost. Profits are less sensitive to changes in sales volume, reducing both the risk and the potential return. Okay? So constructing an indifference chart for operating gearing. So this one is the same dun kanina, no? To see the we will try to see the ano, okay, the more simpler part of this topic. So kapag sinabi naman nating combined gearing effect, no, this talks about the gearing, the cumulative effect of both financial gearing and the operating gearing. So kanina we are talking about the two, no, the financial leverage and the operating leverage. But on the combined gearing effect, we are talking about the two, the financial gearing and the operating gearing. So this measure helps understand the overall risk and potential volatility in shareholder returns due to variations in sales and financial structures. Okay? The degree of combined gearing is calculated by multiplying the degrees of financial and operating gearing, reflecting how these factors interact to affect the company's profit and risk profile. So if you are going to read this PPT, you are going to see here the formula that is the degree of financial gearing multiplied to the degree of operating gearing. So for example, if a company has a financial gearing of 2, that's mataas na utang, that's a high debt, and an operating gearing of 1.5, high fixed cost, its combined gearing would be 3. Okay? And this high combined gearing indicates significant sensitivity to changes in sales in volume and financing costs. So ano yung mga implication? Higher combined gearing can lead to greater volatility in earnings and consequently in shareholder returns. For example, yung company with high combined gearing may see substantial fluctuation in its profit for the year due to slight changes in sales or interest rates, which could lead to volatile stock prices. Ano yung mga risk management naman? No? Balanced gearing, companies, especially those in capital-intensive industries, might have both high operating and financial gearing. So usually these lead to high level of total risk which needs careful management. Pag sinabi naman nating strategies to mitigate the risk, if the combined gearing is judged too high, the company might consider steps to reduce either of both types of gearing. So ano yung mga considerations natin? Sales stability, and I think that would be the end of the lecture. So I know that it is a very uh, lengthy, but as much as possible, I hope that you've learned a lot, even kaunti lang, no? Kasi it's very overwhelming. The topic is overwhelming with different key points being explained. I hope that we have learned a lot for this 40 plus minutes of lecture. Again, this is Dr. Ian J. Dalumpinas Garampiel, and I hope you learned a lot about financial planning. Thank you very much for your attention, and God bless.